Turn off your lights. Make sure your doors and windows are locked. Things are about to get spooky. Another big one. I'm starting to lose my grip, y'all. By Almost-Jaded. This will probably be long because at this point it's less about my ongoing glitches and more about my state of mind. Up until this point, I've done pretty well keeping it together, taking these events in stride even. For whatever reason, this one has me genuinely freaked out. I don't know why, but it's been almost 2 days. I usually manage to get a grip and calm down after 24 hours. And this time, it's going the other direction. I'm getting more freaked out. So here I come, back to Glitch, to post for a bunch of people who may or may not think I'm completely full of shit at this point. Has anyone else posted this many slips? There must be others out there. I can't be the only one that has had this happen repeatedly. Click on my profile for my other stories. The short version is, over the last 15 years or so, I seem to slip or jump or whatever you want to call it into what I've come to think of as parallel universes that are very similar to, but not the same as the ones I started in. These seem to happen mostly when I'm driving. Sometimes I skip ahead in space, no differences that I'm aware of, but I physically relocate a few blocks, or in one case, roughly 100 miles. There have been jumps in time, or maybe it was a parallel place, I don't actually know. Like where I witnessed construction work being done, then went back to the same place a couple days later, and it never happened, and then went back a few days later than that, and it had been done again. There have been other glitches in my life, some of which I've posted, but honestly, I don't even care anymore. These jumps are getting to me. Anyway, here's the new one. Just as much detail as always. Sorry for those of you that are annoyed by that. Azure Road is a little residential street that runs east-west in North Las Vegas. Running east, its dead ends at the larger empty lot, a little past a road called Walnut. It picks up again on the other side of Lamb. For 5+ years, I've lived off the intersection of Lamb and Azure. To leave my neighborhood, you went west on Azure to a stoplight at Lamb and turned either north or south. You couldn't go straight because Azure doesn't run between Walnut and Lamb. There's this big empty field in the way. We always knew it would be punched through eventually and something would get built on that lot, but it's been that way for years. I relocated in 2015 a few times since after leaving that house, but I've been back in the area a few times. Nothing's changed. A few months ago, my girlfriend moved into a rented room very near my old neighborhood, on the other side of Azure, maybe a mile directly west of my old place. I have my own place, but I spend more time at her place because her dog isn't allowed where I live. Anyway, point is, since April, I've been over there a lot, and from her place to get to the freeway or some other places, we have to go west to Loyce Road, then north to Centennial over to Lamb, and south again past Azure, right through my old intersection, because in case I haven't made this absolutely clear yet, Azure doesn't go through to Lamb and never has. Sunday evening, I'm returning to her place from working. I had a drop, Uber driver, a little ways south on Lamb, so instead of taking the freeway around, I decided to just take Lamb up to Centennial and over. I passed through the intersection of Lamb and Azure, and there's a left turn lane, and Azure goes through. And that big empty lot? Fully developed. Literally dozens of single-family homes in a gated community. Guys, the last time I passed by there was 6 days ago, and I will swear to whatever being you do or do not believe in, none of that was there. If there had been construction going on, I wouldn't have thought twice. Things get built fast in Las Vegas. But not that fast. And there wasn't even any construction. Everything was finished. There are signs up promoting the new houses for sale. The landscaping is finished. Half of the houses are occupied, cars in the driveway, and the road itself. One side is worn pavement, the other lane is fresh. Like they paved one side during construction, then went in and widened in finishing it after they were done. In which case, Azure would have been an option in the intervening times. But it hadn't been, until Sunday, at least for me. I have driven past that intersection literally dozens of times in the last few months, and I've never seen a bulldozer parked in the dirt. There is a 0% chance I wouldn't have noticed. There's a nostalgia thing going on every time I pass there. Had I seen construction work, I would have been like, oh, cool, they're finally finishing that stretch of Azure and building on that lot. I would have also thought, oh, cool, we can cut straight across Azure soon instead of going around. It would have been relevant. I couldn't possibly have missed months of construction. Even if I had somehow missed it a few times, I couldn't possibly have missed it every single time I passed through there until it was done. Dozens of houses, a renovated intersection, and a new stretch of road, in a neighborhood I travel frequently and with which I am intimately familiar. Girlfriend and her roommates say it's been that way for months. Specifically, she doesn't remember ever not passing through there to get to Lamb. I mention all the times we've driven the long way around, and she's like, what are you talking about? Why would we go that route? Lucky for me, she's been in the car for 2 of my other teleports, so she doesn't think I'm completely off my rocker. But wait, there's more. The very next day, I'm working. I drive Uber in Las Vegas, which means I spend a lot of time on the Strip. I'm exquisitely familiar with every single pick-up and drop point on Las Vegas Boulevard. There isn't a single one I haven't been to many times. I can name every single resort and casino property and most of the other structures in order between the Strat and the Mandalay Bay. Hell, all the way to the M, because south of Mandalay there really isn't much there. I can tell you where buildings were that aren't there anymore. Over 60,000 rides, literally thousands of which are on this stretch of road. Monday, I pick up a passenger in a large resort-style condo complex, immediately south of the Hilton Grand Vacation called Sky Las Vegas. This is a substantial luxury condominium complex directly across the street from the failed Fontainebleau, now called the Drew, assuming they ever finish the damn thing. It's big, it's a beautiful building, it stands out, it's been there for years. And I've never seen it before in my life. As far as I'm concerned, there's still an empty lot next to the Hilton Grand. 20 plus years in this town, watching things get imploded and built on the Strip, driving up and down that road for hours on end for over 3 years now, not including my previous time spent before being a driver. I have never ever heard of the Sky Las Vegas. The new Harmon Road construction project is coming along nicely though, so there's that. They're building the Harmon Road expansion that I remember being built more than 10 years ago that disappeared in one of my previous jumps. The ex-wife that thought I was nuts when this happened is a little freaked out because she recalls me describing it to her in detail when it disappeared. And now she can see them building what she remembers me describing. and there's no way I could have known about it then. She's taking my glitch stories a bit more seriously now, so that's cool, I guess. I don't know why this one is cracking me. I should be used to this by now. Maybe it's because one is so close to what was literally home. Maybe because the other is a multi-$100 million project in a place with which I'm equally familiar. Maybe it's just stress in general. I don't know. But so far, I can't shrug this off like I did my last one. I'm really freaking out. I don't know what else to say. Thanks for listening. And I need a drink. This stuff is supposed to peel off layers of dead skin in seconds, I told my friend, applying copious amounts of industrial-strength cream on my face. The package translates as caution and doesn't specify dead skin though, my friend replied when the tingling sensation began. I heard my husband come home, but he didn't. By Lunatuck. Yesterday afternoon, my husband was visiting a sick friend and I was home alone with the dog and cats. I was in the kitchen when I heard my husband's car pull into the garage. He drives a Chevette and the engine makes a very loud and distinctive noise. There is no mistaking it. The dog was lying in front of the door that leads to the garage, and she heard it. She got up and watched the door expectantly, but I didn't hear him leave the car, and he never appeared. I thought it was weird because he's not one to just sit out in the car after coming home, but I got distracted with something else and temporarily forgot about it. After about 10 minutes or so, I realized my husband still hadn't come in, so I checked in the garage and his car wasn't there. I just assumed he must have immediately left again for some reason. But then I wondered if it was one of those Vador glitches or whatever they're called, when you hear phantom noises of someone coming home. But no, it couldn't be because it was so clear, and both the dog and I heard his car right outside the door. So I texted my husband and asked him if he came home and left again. He said no, he was still at his friend's house. What the hell? It couldn't have been some random person who just happened to drive the same car as my husband who pulled into our garage by mistake because the garage door was closed. My husband doesn't believe me, and it's infuriating. I know what I heard. I woke in a bathtub filled with ice, a note taped to my chest that said, "Call 911, one of your kidneys has been removed." This is the second time this has happened to me. Glitchy Medical Shenanigans by panflrt. This is a personal observation, the event of which happened a year ago. I remember it clearly because I've told it before and because it's a somewhat weird phenomenon. I don't believe any spirits exist. I only believe science and empirical ways of testing things. But I've had the limits of that science stretched for me. About a year ago, around this time, my sister and my mom had different plans than me, and they were going to spend the night out. I was going to stay at home alone and didn't have much else to do. My sister owns headphones for music and presumably studying. It's headphones and not earphones, the kind that hang on your head and envelop your ears. She leaves it behind, thrown on the couch, and mind you, the quality of her gadget is great. And I love music, so before she leaves, I noticed it and asked her if it was charged or not, and how often do I have to charge it if I want to try it, blah blah. They leave, and I lay down and put it on. I play songs from my playlist, but I love the sound of one song that I continue to play again and again. The song of choice is a funny one, and most people will hate it. It's These Herricks by Bad Baby. Yes, the Catch Me Outside by Dr. Phil girl. I love the beat or bass or whatever, so I have the song on repeat for a while. After a while of wearing it, I feel a familiar discomfort in my ear, the unmistakable kind of having headphones on, which feels kind of like pressure on the ear canal. It's not a sharp pain, not a squeezing pain or anything, and I don't think I've ever experienced from pressing the side of my head on a pillow, sleeping, or any other ear activity. It's a very neat kind that I only experienced in the past by wearing various headphones that I owned as a kid. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but I sure do. I haven't felt it with any other thing unless they were a gadget for my ear. Months pass, I'm scrolling through my playlist on my phone, ears fully bare and not even my small earphones on. I play the same song and boom, the same unmistakable pain in full force. It's not too bothersome, but it's very recognizable. I think my brain associated the song with the pain and then generated it for me. Some sort of phantom limb action. The reason I posted this story is for us to be more skeptical of our brains. All associations have explanations like this, and it's easy to attribute things to spirits if we don't know how complicated our minds are. My question is, how do we see this phenomenon manifest? I read a book about skincare that suggests that all our skin issues have subconscious roots. Do you have any other similar stories, or perhaps you have other ways to explain this? I appreciate your time. Floating on the lake's surface, my eyes closed behind my sunglasses, I giggled when my sister, who had been sunbathing on the shore, playfully grabbed my foot and tries to pull me underwater. "What's so funny?" she asks as I kick her hand away, her voice oddly distant. Just found this subreddit. Guess I'll toss my own glitch here. By Santo. So this happened some 6 or so years ago, maybe 8 at most. At the time, I worked pretty far from home, a couple towns over far from home. Why work so far from home? They were hiring, and it was the only job I was able to secure that used my degree and paid more than stocking shelves at Sam's Club. Side note, I hate Sam's Club. Once I got off the highway, my commute took me through several school zones, so if I left home too late, my commute, with tollway and highway combined, went from a 45-ish minutes to an hour and 30 minutes at the absolute least. So, in order to get to work on time, I leave at an ungodly in the morning hour, and get there way too goddamn early, purely so I won't be stuck in the school zone hell. Background set. Here's the glitch moment. It was a morning like any other. The sun isn't out yet. I just got off the highway, stopped at the red light. It was way too fucking early in the morning for anyone with a choice to be out of bed. I don't listen to the radio, and the cassette adapter I use to listen to the stuff from my phone on the car speakers, yes, I'm old, and the car is older than some people I know, sue me, is on the fritz, so I'm not listening to what little music I listen to or to whatever audiobook holds my fancy. I'm sitting there at the red light, thinking about nothing. There are no other cars on the road. The only lights are the street lights, several of which are flickering and a few of which are out. No noise but the sound of my car idling. The light turns green. I look right, the street was empty. I look left, nothing. I look forward and didn't take my foot off the brake. I waited a few seconds, and I generally don't remember if I said this out loud or merely thought it. I said, "I wonder why I'm not driving." At that exact moment, a muscle car roars through the, to it, red light at a much-a-fuck-a duck. Its tires squeal like pigs on fire as it makes a turn somewhere to my left, the sound of the car quickly fading. I sat there and, again, not sure if I said this out loud or thought it to myself, and said, "Ah, that's why." I then took my foot off the gas and sedately took off. I drive like an old man because cars are expensive and money is tight. Sue me. Counting the seconds for how long it would have taken me to get to the spot where Mr. Late for something would have hit me. And it was the exact length of time it took for the light to turn green, for me to look to the sides, and for the car to fly through the red light. I then went to work, and later realized I almost died. Or would have landed on so much medical debt that I probably would have been better off dying. Yep, that's it. Believe me or don't, people do lie on the internet. Either way, have a good day and do drive safe. With the cancer burning my lungs, the desire of death like the thirst, I aim a revolver towards my head. Unfortunately, due to your unresolved balance of $103,043.99, your request for death has been denied. Commencing resurrection protocols. And with that, our time together is coming to an end. If you have a story you'd like me to narrate, whether true or fictional, you can send it my way 3 different ways, either through my subreddit, my email, or my website. All the links are down below for easy finding. I'd like to thank everyone who let me read their stories today. I really hope you all stop seeing glitches or stay in the same dimension you've started in or are in currently. Every time I read an Almost-Jaded story, I feel more and more worried about him. Seems Las Vegas is changing more than he expects. New roads, new buildings, and they've all been there for a long time. Or disappear randomly on him when they've been there for a long time. I have talked to this person a few times in DMs since I started narrating his stories, and he seems to be doing good now, but this one definitely shook him quite a bit. And I can get how jarring it is to hear your husband come home, and then he's not there, and he never was there. It would definitely throw you off and definitely be confusing. I personally wear headphones every time I record, which is why the little avatars have headphones on, by the way. That, and also to signify how much I really enjoy listening to music. So I actually know the pressure that they're definitely talking about. I can feel when my headphones are on correctly and incorrectly. There's a certain pressure that they cause on your ears when they're on correctly, especially when they're noise canceling. And to just feel that randomly when you have nothing over your ears would be very jarring. And lastly, I'm so happy you didn't start moving and just stayed where you were. Some people drive like absolute morons, and something at least told you not to move, whether it was a glitch in the matrix or something paranormal, gut feeling, whatever you want to call it. Just, I'm happy that you stayed put. And of course, if you enjoyed these stories, hit that like button and make sure it feels it. If you're new, please subscribe and turn that pretty little bell to all notifications. And of course, I would absolutely love a comment. Tell me what you thought, what kind of stories you like in the future, anything you want to write. If you're listening on the podcast and are able to, please leave a review or a comment if you're able to. If you'd like to help this podcast and channel grow, please share it with anyone who might enjoy it. It helps quite a bit. If you'd like to help in a more financial way, like these lovely people on screen, I do have Patreon and memberships where for $1 a month you get early access and a few other bonuses. And if you'd like to do more of a one-time thing instead of a recurring, I do have PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, and Super Thanks. But as always, guys, thank you for watching and listening. It always has and always will mean the world to me. Sleep tight and don't let 42 bite.